All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today I want to talk about some major concerns I have for the next couple of months. I'm a little bit more positive about the raid than I think many other players and content creators are, and that's okay. But that's not without me having some concerns over the news that we've gotten these past few months. And so I want to digest that. I want to give you what I think, and hopefully what you see today is how I, as Fat Phil, am kind of formulating what's happening. When we get this information from Capital Games, which I've never been a fan of how they just kind of data dump. I really felt that this should have been like a road ahead type post where 2 kit reveals, a rework, raid information, like new like all this stuff comes out. It really should have been a much deeper post, gone into more detail than what we got. I feel like I've never been a fan of the data dump. I don't like it. So I really think we should even have a State of the Galaxy as well, but that's a whole other issue entirely, right? So these are just, hey, based on what we know right now, here's some concerns I have moving forward in the game. Before we get there, let's like, subscribe, comment down below. Give a huge shout out to the channel members. Again, guys, these people have been supporting me since, I can't even tell you how long some of them have been here, but the beginning. So I really appreciate everybody just sticking around, keeping the faith, whether you are a regular member, right, on the council, or you've been granted the rank of Master or Wampa. Much appreciated. So let's get in here. Let's talk about these concerns. All right, folks, so this is not just going to be about the raid. This is just in general, right? So we're starting out with Conquest Units. We just have, we've got Jocasta. We are about halfway through our SME cycle. And then, like we got in the raid post, right, there's a whole other Conquest unit coming later, right? There's a whole other Conquest unit coming that's a pirate. And so it just felt very like, it's like, man, that's a lot of characters. And just to read it word for word, it says, the first pirate marquee is a leader, so you'll have a squad shortly. But once the era is complete, there will be 2 powerful teams for the raid. One led by the next Conquest unit and another led by the next Galactic Legend at the end of the pirate era. So by the next Conquest unit, that's not SME here. SME is not the leader, right? There's no leadership. So there's another, pirate coming in Conquest. And like bloody pirates. Listen, it's my concern here is that we've never had more than one Conquest unit, not just a part of the raid, like Maul in the Crate raid or Queen Amidala in the Naboo raid, but we've never had more than one unit who was attached to a current team, or like a new team. Think Queen Amidala, she created the new team with Master Qui-Gon, Padawan, Obi-Wan. Malicos, when he was released, was for the Unaligned Force user team, which was new when that was announced. Similar situation with Ezra. He was going into the new Spectre team with Ahsoka. But a lot of these other Conquest unit characters, right, when you go through them, Ben Solo, you go to, where the heck are the rest of them? There's Ben. Why can I not find any of the rest? Darth Bane is somewhere. Darth Bane. Keep going down to where Malgus is. Think, Boba Fett, Sign of Django, for all that was. Luthen, Trench. They, again, I'm sure I'm missing somebody somewhere. Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. They weren't new teams. They might be a new character, but they weren't all going into new teams. Like, think about Luthen Rail. He goes into the Mon Mothma team or the Saw team that you already had built. So, we never had more than one that was like, okay, not only do you need the Conquest unit, but you need all these other new things. Like, that wasn't that often. And here, it's 3 in a row like that. And not that these characters might not have use with other teams, but where they're really designed for is new stuff. And so it feels very alienating for players who aren't working on the new things. They don't get these new Conquest units to their fullest extent. But also, if you're not someone who can get Conquest units within their, designated time frame, this is a killer blow. That's a killer blow. So it's a lot to kind of put into the current characters and say, hey, this is all going to be related to the new era, the new raid coming. And think about this as well. That next character, like we're not done with SME, and then we've got 3 more months of, 3 more conquest cycles until that next pirate's there. which that should take us to what, like November timeframe, right? So SME, we're in June right now, July, and then August, September, October. So like November timeframe would be that next Conquest unit coming into the game. Who knows? Maybe they're going to be a part of the new team. Like, is Conquest units no longer going to be these lifters for existing teams, but lifters for new teams? That's a concern as well. I can't say that doesn't cross my mind. Next. Listen, this is about the raid, but just, hear me out. Capital Games is all in on this raid. They've put all the new teams from Bad Batch to the pirates that aren't even here yet. It's all in on the raid. Every egg that they have done, all their work over these past few months is going into the raid. And that kind of scares me. That kind of concerns me, because if the raid does not go well, you've now attached players' feelings about this raid to these teams. So if Bad Batch is bad in the raid, if Vanguards or whatever it is, if they don't perform well in the raid, if the raid isn't well received, these teams by default will not be as well received. And that's a problem. Like investing 101, diversify your portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And it feels like all their eggs are in this basket. It feels like all their eggs are, hey, these things need to go well. This raid needs to go off without a hitch. Because the response by the community so far has been, very, very negative. And that going all in like this, where every single character has to go in there, it's going to put a lot more pressure on this raid to be successful. It's going to put a lot more pressure on this raid to go well. Like, if there are issues with this raid, like there was with the Naboo raid, you cannot wait as long as you did with Naboo to fix them. It needs to happen right away. Because otherwise, players are just going to wash their hands. This could fracture the community. And it's a concern that I have, not just about this current one, but think, is the process moving forward that every character that's going to be released for whatever period of time is going into the next raid. So imagine, like, after the pirates, let's say they announce the next new thing and the next new thing and the next new thing and the next new thing. Do those all just get thrown into the raid so we feel compelled to spend, or we feel compelled to interact? Like, is that the new model for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? And I'll be honest, I wouldn't love that, because I think a lot of people would not feel they could find time to work on the older things in their account, work on other things that exist outside of that. That is a concern. That is something that I can't say has not gone through my head here, that this, like, everything from, like, the end of Ahsoka to stuff that's not even here yet going into this raid. And I feel a lot of the kind of thing here is I felt that there was supposed to be a raid for Ahsoka. That would have made sense with Great Mothers. That would have made sense with Baylan Mercenaries, the Ahsoka team. Like, that felt like we were leading to something. And I think it got scrapped. I don't know why, what, how, but it did. And now it feels like we're making up for lost time in a sense. And so I hope that this is just kind of a one-time thing. And this would be where just communicate that, like we're all big kids, right? Like we can all hear something that, like, hey, we just needed some more time to figure this out, right? Like, that's like, and I get it. Like, I know that, when I was on Three Scoundrels a while ago, we were talking and I said, like, listen, I just want you to tell me you need to make more money. I don't freaking care. That's just the kind of guy I am. I recognize that's not always a popular opinion or always the smartest thing to do. But in my personal opinion, with the kind of relationship you have with this community, I feel we could warrant that, right? I get it. Does it maybe look the best? But just being honest, like, this game is almost 10 years old. We all know you need to make money off of it. None of it. I don't think anybody argues that or cares that you have to. So it's more so that we want that communication to know why things are happening, and is this the new model for the raid? Because that also plays a role, that you have these pirates that aren't in the game yet, and players are going to want to work on them. But by the time that they would achieve them, is the next raid going to include all the characters that were released immediately after pirates? And how does that change your farming strategy? So there's just some, that concern is almost like, are raids now just the catch-all for every new character? Or is this a one-time thing that just had to happen to kind of right-set the game for where they want it to head? Finally, folks, it has to do with the character release cadence. Right now, we're getting a character every 2 weeks. And it does not feel sustainable. Not even from a gear perspective, right? Forget Kyrotech, forget signal data, forget core gear, relic finishers. I don't think this is sustainable from a mod perspective. I don't think it's sustainable from my fingers are all over the place, from a mod perspective, from a Zeta, Omicron, ability material perspective. It's a lot. And again, every single one of these teams that's coming out is kind of one-upping the last one and one-upping the last one and one-upping the last one. And I have this, again, concern that with that, the quality is, sky high, which is great, but it's also power creep. And you look at some of these newer teams that are coming into the game that are vastly superior to what we already have, right? Vastly superior to what's already there. And that sort of devalues the work that some players have to do to get something. Like, think about the work that goes into getting Lord Vader. Most of that work could be considered wasted until you get your dark side clones and Lord Vader on top of that. The quality of these older teams is definitely lacking compared to the quality of these new teams. And power creep, I get it. It's got to be a part of the game. You're not going to release something that's not better than something else. But with how quickly you're releasing characters, you're approaching a point where instead of just having to have that line of text on an Omicron of if there's no galactic legends, that's going to start happening on like Zetas. I mean, I say that like I don't think we're that far away from it. Because these new teams come in and they're capable of competing with galactic legends in the right circumstances and in the right situations. That's freaking scary. You go back to 2021, and I get that that's 4 years ago, but they made it very clear that galactic legends were here and everything else was here. And it's not starting to feel that way. There's some things that are creeping their way up to getting closer and closer to what it feels like as a galactic legend. And that's especially an important thing when you think about focused datacrons, when you think, datacrons in general, but particularly these focused ones, it feels more and more that that line is getting blurred. And so I'm not sure how sustainable it will be to continue to release characters at this rate with this quality without revisiting some of these older teams that are supposed to be like GLs, right? Like JML, who desperately needs something, like JML up here, like teams are like right here. Or even to the degree of, okay, we need to make sure that this team is very clearly like right here. Or we need to raise the bar for JML. Like that's my fear with this, the way that we're just releasing stuff like this, kind of all culminating into doesn't feel sustainable. Like, I'm struggling with mods, and I'm 12.7 million galactic power, and I feel like I can't get a good enough mods for everybody that I need. I can't imagine what lower players are feeling. I know Zetas for a lot of players are, an issue, and not just from light speed bundles, but just in general, characters are coming into the game faster, but we've not changed that economy. You've not changed the mod economy. And those are the things that kind of scare you, right? Because you think about those bottlenecks in this game that I always say are time related. It's time gated. Zetas are time gated. The longer you play this game, the more Zetas you get. Even if you've active and everything else, you're not going to be able to speed up your Zetas that much. Even if you're spending money, it's still a challenge to get more Zetas. So those are just my concerns right now. This game, and I got to say this is not all negative. Like, some of this stuff, it's not all negative. Like, it's good we're getting new content. It's good they're trying to get us, hey, we're not going to keep playing Naboo for the next, 3 years. I get that. But I also just want to make sure that we're not moving at a pace that isn't attainable anymore. That isn't going to cause problems. That we are actually going to create content that it's worthwhile to invest in things other than just new stuff, or that we're told, hey, the way we're going to be structuring raids moving forward is that all the new characters that were released for X period of time go into the raid. Like, what's the expectation there? And then finally, again, with those Conquest units, I just want to, I really need to know, is this just something that we're trying to, like, get enough characters available in the raid? Or is this the new method that they're always going to be for the latest and greatest teams? So let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.